Hey everybody, happy Thursday. How is everybody doing today? I'm Debbie Waidl, migraine health coach specialist, here to help you during our migraine strategy call find ways to be able to actually reduce the severity, duration, and frequency of your migraines so that you can find your migraine freedom. Every Thursday we come to you at this time. Sometimes we bring you training, sometimes we bring you special events. And today we have a very special event. We have a Freedom from Migraine Method alumni member with us today. Barbara is here to share her story with us. So thank you, Barbara, for being here today.
Thank you. I hope I say something helpful.
I am sure you will. So to get us started off, how about you just tell everybody just a quick little bit about yourself so they know who they're listening to today.
Okay. Yes, I am a pastor of a church, medium-sized church. I'm the lead pastor. Also, sometimes a hospital chaplain. I had a year of training as a trauma hospital chaplain, and I still do some of that work. Married 33 years, and we have 3 adult daughters, all out of state now, living busy lives. So that's
That's
me.
over 30 years. That's amazing. Me too. I think I'm in my 34 years this year. So
Aw,
yeah, it's great. It's great. Great that we keep them around still, right?
for sure.
Oh, everyone over on Facebook. I'm just pulling up Facebook now. Give me a quick hi, give me a hello. Let me know that you're watching. I know Valentina is over there, I'm sure, and Kathy paying attention. So as we chat, any comments that you have, any questions, please just pop them below. If we happen to miss them now, I promise we'll be keeping an eye on this. We'll go back later. Hey, Robin and Sheila, good to see you guys today. So let's dive right in. You mentioned your line of work and, being a pastor, so rewarding, but at the same time, I can imagine that it can be super challenging since you must feel at times that, you really have to push through because you're caring for somebody else and you kind of put your health on hold. How is
Mhm,
your approach a little bit different now that you've gone through the
mhm.
Freedom from Migraine method as compared to before the program?
Yes. So, yes, I have a lot of highs and lows with people. I see people at their best and at their worst sometimes. So, a lot of joys, like I'm starting some premarital counseling with a couple. And, of course, they're so in love and life is perfect. And then in the same week, I may be officiating a funeral.
Mhm.
And with a family who's had a loss. Um, in the hospital work that I do, I'm called to some of the worst scenarios at the hospital. So a lot of times the doctors, they're dealing with the patient and everything going on with that, and they want us there to deal with the families.
Mhm.
So, so I one of the things, just as an example, and this has been since I left the program, and I've given this a lot of thought, how to approach things differently, because I sort of inevitably had a migraine with that letdown after a big event. So almost always after I officiated a funeral, next morning or right after, I'd start with the migraine, and dealing with the really heavy traumas in the hospital, same thing. And so I would say after I left the program, one of the things that happened on one of my shifts was a fentanyl overdose. So I had a young man, and unfortunately he passed away, and so I've got family streaming in,
Yep.
doctors having to give this bad news. And I'm very compassionate. That's what I do. I'm right
Mhm.
there with the family, focused on their distress, and trying to be present, fully present with them. And that's what I'm trained to do. And I think I always kind of just plowed through. Like you said, I just did what I had to do, completely forgetting myself. And this time, not to be glib at all, I just felt like something shifted for me,
Mhm.
which was, how do I take care of myself in this moment so that I don't get sick for 3 days after this very traumatic situation? And so I went in. I could be fully compassionate and help this family through this situation, um, and be present with them in every way. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I need to hydrate. I need, like
Yep.
all the things from the program. I actually, the families never want anything, but I brought them water, and all of that kind of kicked in. And the thing is, I know better. I know to take care of myself. We're trained to take care of ourselves after these things. So I always have a chaplain I can call
Hmm.
to kind of go over what happened and kind of take care of myself. But I never really worked it through in the moment. And I
Yeah.
think as I did the program, because I had studied like every situation and every migraine for the 3 or 4 months, I could see where this happens to me. And I had to really start thinking about um, how to take care of myself. And I think there was a part of me that felt like that was selfish, like to be taking
Hmm.
care of myself when I'm
Yep.
taking care of other people. But it's actually not. It's really important to take care of you so that you can be
Absolutely.
there for the other people in your life, because it's not fair to my family and it's not fair to all the other people in my life if I'm sick for 3 days after doing this work. And I love the work, I have to say, it's not for everybody. But
Well, and let's
so
face it, nobody wants you not feeling well. Even that family that you're taking
exactly.
care of that is going through a very traumatic event, they would not want to know that 3 days later you weren't feeling well. They would
Right.
want to know that, yes, you were able to support them and help them through something challenging, but in the same token that you're honoring yourself, which in a way honors them. It
Yeah,
honors everyone by you doing that. So I love the fact that the mindfulness training that we build into the program gave you, kind of that pause to think, okay, what can I
absolutely.
do now? What can I do? And it takes time.
And and you can do
Looking,
that with everything. You've
yeah,
got your in-laws coming for Thanksgiving, or you've got your child throwing a tantrum in the store. You can think of all the scenarios maybe in your life that cause stress. And in the back of your mind, you've got all these tools now
hmm?
to face these situations. So,
I love how you brought that back because it doesn't have to be something huge. Anything
mhm.
that causes us stress, anything that causes us that feeling is something that can impact your migraines and impact your threshold. So really thinking about all those scenarios, especially if we learn to be able to handle the big ones, we can easily handle the scenarios that maybe aren't as stressful if we needed to put them on a scale. But
Right.
I love that. Oh my goodness, there's so many people. I just looked down. Everybody's popping on. Hello, ladies. Thanks for being here today. Heather and Rachel just popped on, and Kathy did. That's wonderful. So you and I were chatting a little bit before we jumped on, and before you did this program and worked through the Migraine Freedom Protocol, you actually had done a ton of research and did another person's protocol before that, which did bring you some results, but
Mhm.
not exactly the full level of results that you wanted. And you didn't really feel that that was going to be sustainable for you. But because of that, you were a little leery to do our
Mhm.
protocol since you thought, the info might be too generic, might be stuff you already knew, might be, repetitive. So what would you say about that now, about how that transpired?
Yes. So I think, like a lot of the women that came in your program, there was a point where I was having like daily pain, like periomenopause was horrible for me. And so I did do some work on another protocol, and it did help with some certain things. There were aspects of it that were helpful, but the diet to it was extremely restrictive. A lot of times it didn't make sense to me. Like raspberries were on the list, good list, blueberries were on the bad list, and like things
Mm-hmm.
that I just couldn't find any explanation for. And then I didn't know what was more important, for me. And I couldn't weigh all that out. And ultimately, I just couldn't sustain that restrictive of a diet
Mm-hmm.
um, in my life. My husband's Asian American. We eat a lot of Asian foods, and I've had to tweak some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just to never go out to a restaurant, never eat fruit, that kind of thing. Like I just couldn't figure out how to make that work. And so I think the difference with this program is that you are focusing on you
Mm-hmm.
and your needs. So you have the support group, you have the mindfulness training, you have the team So you can post your questions anytime. And I can't, I was a question, a question asker.
You were,
I
which
was,
I love.
I put those questions in there, ahead of time and had you answer them, or I'd get in a little scenario. So I post something in the group. I reached out in messages to everybody on the team at one point or another. And that to me is what was the huge difference for me, because I was facing very particular situations. And there were some things that really opened my eyes. So like exercise, I'm a faithful exerciser, every morning. And I thought this was good for me. But I was finding that I was over exercising in certain ways. So I've had to really change the way I was doing things. And that made a huge difference. But those things I wouldn't have found out had I not done the program and had the whole team looking at the things I was dealing with.
Yeah, and I think that's key for anything, right? Anything that you do, you can go on Dr. Google, you can search, how to fix gut health, how to help migraines, how to, you know, better your arthritis, whatever it is you're searching for, right? We all search whatever ailment we have. We want that quick answer, but it's too generic. It's a very generic answer that you're going to get. But when you're in a program like this, we really pride ourselves on making sure that we get to know you, your situation, your health history, your health now, what you're willing to do. You mentioned that you eat a lot of Asian food, and we want to find a way for that to work, right? We're kind of talking about lots of maybe rice, lots of extra vegetables, all those great things, but how is that going to fit into your plan? And if you go on Google, you're not going to get those answers. So
Yeah.
I love the fact
And
that you felt
and
that
it,
it was
it
important.
it also helped me to listen to other people's situations in the group, because a lot of things would come up that I hadn't thought about, so particular situations in their lives, around how they manage to pack a lunch or whatever. I found a lot of times I'm listening to their situation and thinking, oh, I never even thought of that, so it opens your eyes to other things
Yeah, I
as
think
well.
that's why the group coaching calls are the favorite. It seems to be the favorite of everyone. We always ask everyone at the end of the program what their favorite part was. And I would say 9 times out of 10, I hear the group coaching calls. And that's really, I think, because they do get to hear someone else's
Right.
question and go, I never thought of that. Or they hear that same question, but answered in a different way that maybe resonates with them, better than the way I explained it for them. So I love it. So many women in the group are taking lots of medication, using some form of HRT, whether it be bioidentical or not, or birth control. So share your story with, how you were using these management tools compared to how you're using them now, because this seems to be a big thing right now, especially HRT. I don't know what it is with the doctors, but everyone seems to want to prescribe HRT right now. Maybe we're all
Okay.
more hot flashes. I don't know.
Well, I had migraines from the time I was a little girl. So like 6 or 7 years. So like well over 50 years. So that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And migraines are very different in children. I don't really have a lot of memory about what that was like, except being, the kid in the back of the nurse's office lying down. But I was diagnosed finally in my early 20s, and back then there wasn't much available. So I went through the barbiturates, caffeine, with a lot of caffeine, that kind of thing. I went through all of the things available then, and then the triptans came out, and I will admit they were a life changer for me, because I responded well to those, and so that was my thing that got me through a lot of life. And I was going to say, like, when it was so hard when my girls were little, I remember just not being able to be there for them. And and they still talk about it, how I'd be in a fetal position in the dark, and they'd crawl up on top of me and they'd say, "Which eye, mommy? Which eye?" And they'd kiss my eye. And and I mean, to this day, they're all very empathetic, sweet girls, but I'm sorry I had to put them through all that. But anyway, the triptans got me through for a long time. And then more recently, my doctor said, "You're taking way too many triptans." And he had never said that to me. So I think they're finding that they're not, and they weren't working as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of it. So you're having to take more and they're not
Yep.
working as well. And so she ran me through all the new CGRP. None of them even touched my migraines. I don't know why. And then the most recent one, medication, I won't say its name, but I actually hallucinated. I woke up several times in the night with hallucinations, like seeing things that weren't there. And sure enough, I look it up, and it's one of the possible side effects of this new medication. And I called her right away and I said, I can't take this, you
Yeah.
know. And so she was wanting to put me on injections. And I was really at a point of desperation when I found you, because I thought this is really getting to the point where it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want to go down this road of changing more medications and injections that I didn't know what they would do to me. And I'm not really mistrustful of the pharmaceutical industry. I know, I know a lot of like PhD scientists very well. I live with one. They slog through this stuff and end up in pharmaceutical companies. And most of them, I will say, want to stop you from suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure there are executives at the top level who, you know, maybe get a lot of money, but I think by and large, the people that work in this industry are good people who want to stop suffering. But we still just don't know. There's so many unknowns when you put a chemical in your body, and for how long, you know. So some new drug comes out, but you don't know 10 years from now what that's going to do.
Exactly.
So anyway, all of that was weighing on me when I found this program, and I thought, well, you know, I'm going to give it a shot. So and I mean, the great thing is I was probably taking an average of 5 triptans a month, which was an improvement over what I had been. And now I'm probably down to 1 a month.
That's wonderful.
And even stretching like 5 weeks without medication. So again, I'm running into scenarios. I learn something each time that happens, and may spill over to a point where I need some medication, but it's rarer and rarer. And you know, and also I just don't realize like how many days I wake up with just a little head pressure that I just plow through the day, and I'm not having that. You know, I'm not having those days of like just wondering if I'm hovering, you know, into that migraine zone. So anyway, so and when I went to my last appointment, I just had that a few weeks ago. I only go once a year now to the neurologist. She just couldn't believe it. She just couldn't believe it. She's like, "What are you doing?" And she you know, she wrote down your name, and you know, and she gets migraines herself. She's very sympathetic, very concerned. She doesn't, you know, she wants the best for me, but she said to me, "I'm really sorry. All I can do is offer you the next medication. When one fails, I can offer you the next one." And that's all she has to offer. That's all the tools she has to offer. She doesn't have 4 months to sit with me.
I was just going to say that they are so well-meaning. I mean, we love all our conventional doctors. They just have their limitations. There's a shortage of doctors. We do not have enough. These poor doctors are like shoving so many people into their schedule to try to help them. You get what, maybe 10 or 15 minutes if you're lucky with the doctor. And, you know, they don't get to. You guys had access to us every single day for 4 months. You know, there's no way a neurologist could do that. So hopefully in a perfect world someday, every doctor will have a coach that is working with them, or a team of coaches that can kind of support this. Because we, you know, as you mentioned, we are not anti-medication in this group, but what we are is anti-using medication as a fix and not figuring out what the root cause is. You know, for anyone that's here, I talked to someone the other day and they're like, "Oh, after talking to you, I stopped all my meds." I'm like, please don't. Please. That is not what we're looking for. You know, you ladies come into working with us and we're like, keep taking your meds. You may need to take them for a while because we want to get your body ready to slowly be able to come off of those, because now we can trade, right? Now your body can do the job that the medication was trying to do in the short term. Because as you mentioned, the longer you take something, the less it works, the more you need. And even though they do studies on medication, you know, so let's think of an old medication, sumatriptan, even though they do studies on that med, there are no studies on all of the meds that you're taking together. So if
Right.
you're taking a triptan, if you're taking amitriptyline, if you're taking a proton pump inhibitor, if you're taking a beta blocker, there's no test to show what the implication of all of those together is going to be. And this is where the problem comes in when we, again, look at things in isolation and not in a group. So, please, everyone watching, there is my disclaimer. Do not stop taking your medication today. But if you are ready to learn about how to do that, just comment medication below and we'll make sure that you can talk to a team member so we can figure out the best way to do it, the safest way, and the way that's going to give you the least amount of pain, right? That's the goal. We don't want you to be in pain when we're trying to end your pain because there's nothing fun about that. Oh, well, I love what your neurologist said. This is the first good neurologist comment I've gotten this week. We've had so many other women chatting with neurologists where they're like, you'll be back. You'll want the medication. You'll be back. So I'm so happy to hear that as we head into the weekend. A good comment about neurologists and about people in the pharmaceutical company. Oh, so I want to honor your time and everyone else's. This has been such a great conversation. So is there anything else that you would like to share with the almost 5,000 women we have in this group now that are still sitting there, not too sure who I am, thinking kind of
Yeah.
like this is going to be something else I'm already doing? What would you say to those women today?
I I watched a lot of these videos before I made a decision. And it's when else are you going to do it? When is going to be the right time? When are you going to have the money set aside? It's hard. But the time and energy and resources that you put into this can change your life. And so and the thing is, you're paying for the whole team. You're paying for everybody to help you. And I think the things that have been so exciting for me is, like I thought I had tried everything and I knew a lot, and I did,
You
but I
did.
hadn't put it all together,
Mhm.
and I hadn't really enlisted my whole support network and my family in it. And I don't know, I've just had a lot more support since doing the program and being able to explain what my needs are,
Mhm.
to my family. So, with my daughters, I guys, like, I don't see anything on the menu at this restaurant. Like, could we go somewhere else? And of course, they're happy to do that.
Yep.
And like my daughters are very supportive. So like their dad's milestone birthday came up, and they wanted to take him to a winery, and they're like, "Mom, are you going to be okay?" And I said, "It's okay. Um, I'll find something to eat and drink,
Mhm.
and it'll be fine." And they had the cake, and they know they cut me the skinniest slice. I think I had 3 bites of cake, but
But
I
that
don't feel
probably made you happy, right?
yeah,
Like
and
your
they
3 bucks.
know, and I didn't
Yeah.
feel deprived. I
Yep.
felt like I could enjoy. And the other great thing that happened was my daughter was working in Alaska for 4 months, and in the national park, and she had big plans for us. And I was a little nervous because we fly there, and she's like, we're going to go on this hike, and it was a very strenuous, super steep 4.5 hour hike that we went
Oh my
on.
goodness.
And I took a picture of myself at the top of this mountain. But you know what? I prepped for it as best I could.
Huh?
And I didn't get a migraine, and we had such a good time. I'm not going to lie, I took a little over the counter because my body just ached.
I was going to say, I think almost anybody, migraines or not, if you're not used to hiking like that, probably need a little Tylenol or Advil to help you out
Yeah,
there.
that was all I needed. But yeah, I've really just come a long way and been able to enjoy life a lot more. So
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure watching your journey. And I love the fact, I think I looked this up. What has it been? 4 months, 5 months since you
yeah.
graduated? So it's
Hmm.
been a while. Yeah, you ended in June, the day before my birthday, actually. So you ended June 23rd, and here we are in November. And I think
Right.
this is another key thing because I hear this from so many people. Okay, well, they might be great at the end of your program, but then how are they in the future? Does it stay? Does it stick? Is it life lasting? And this is why we really like to talk to people like you, Barbara, who it's been a while, and
Yeah.
as you said, you don't feel deprived. You're enjoying your life. You get to doing, some things without that massive worry of a migraine. and you can be there for your community, because that is the important thing, right? We are all put on this earth to have a wonderful life, but I believe we're all here for a purpose, to help or to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And now that you don't have migraines every day, you get to do that more and in a different way,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Amazing.
And I don't have that constant worry,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. We keep having people pop on. You are a popular lady today. Okay. Kimberly and Nancy and Sharon and everybody popping in. So thank you, ladies, for watching. I don't see any questions, but if anyone does have any questions, feel free to pop them in at any point in time, no matter when you're watching this. Just put hashtag replay for us. We'll keep an eye out for it. And I want to give a quick reminder to everyone. For those of you who are in the US, you know that next week is Thanksgiving. So we will not be meeting on Thursday next week as we normally do. We will be meeting on Monday instead, which is Monday the 20th. We will meet at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to be bringing you not just one amazing person like Barbara today. We are going to have 5 women pop on. This is a panel that we do just a couple times a year, but I want to give you all the opportunity to ask any question that you have of these women. What was it like in the program? Was it hard? Can you never eat cake again? Which I think you just heard, you can eat cake if you'd like to. I want you to be able to ask all your questions. So do me a favor, comment panel below if you want more information, and Valentine and Kathy will make sure they reach out to you. Get your questions so that I can have a full list ready to go for Monday night. And we will go through as many questions live as we can, and then answer those that we can't at a later time. But this is an amazing chance for you to get firsthand information from the women that have actually found their migraine freedom. So make sure you join us, and everybody have an amazing Thanksgiving next week. If I don't see you, Barbara, thank you so much for being here. You have a
My
wonderful
pleasure.
as well. And don't
You
be a
too.
stranger. Keep letting us know how you are, okay?
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Here's to your migraine freedom. Bye-bye.
Bye.